We knew the world would not be the same. Few people laughed. Few people cried. Most people were silent. I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." I suppose we all thought that.
Kaylin, we've gathered here this Nolan November Saturday morning to discuss Ben Shapiro's favorite movie of the year, Oppenheimer.
It's only fitting since we're on the verge of like a total societal collapse and a nuclear holocaust.
Yeah. You know, in a lot of ways, this is just a movie for the time. Just like Barbie was.
Yep.
Where we introduced 6-year-olds to the patriarchy. This is a movie where we introduce people who thought Inception was real rad to boring movies about people talking.
People talking about how great somebody else is.
You know, the way that you haven't watched any of the recent Mission Impossible movies, but whenever they talk about Ethan Hunt, Tom Cruise character, that he's a specter, he's death itself. Like Alec Baldwin, literally has lines like that. Like they treat him like Jesus.
Meanwhile, Tom Cruise is standing there at 5'4", just like yeah,
yeah, but he's dangling from the Burj Khalifa, 6,000 feet in the air. The way they talk about Ethan Hunt is the way people talk about Oppenheimer. He's so good at math, he sees the quantum realm.
You're so smart, you don't have to take care of your children.
He smokes cigarettes because he's in pain.
He's so conflicted.
Do I build the bomb or do I not? That is the question.
It's the most important fucking event in the history of the world. Of course, build it.
But wait, you do that and I do the soundtrack.
Cut to Cillian Murphy, close up with his eyes wide,
Okay, so Kaylin, it's funny because you just watched this movie. Well, we were supposed to watch Tenet and Oppenheimer, and I said I cannot rewatch Oppenheimer after I watched Tenet. I was like, I watched it this summer. It's 3 hours long. I can't do it. And you came in here this morning saying, I watched Oppenheimer, but damn it, I cannot do Tenet. Not today. This is taking a lot out of us. I don't know if it's the month of November, but do you remember how last November ended?
No.
That was no good movie November. And we did one episode and we got drunk.
So this is just history repeating itself again.
I think this might be a marking of our maybe the seasonal depression starts early for us.
Where we just give up halfway through.
Winter hasn't even really started here yet, and we're just already falling off the train.
Well, it's the changing seasons, and the days are getting shorter, and it's dark outside.
It's when they flip the daylight savings switch. It messes me up. I come home, it's 5:30 p.m., it's dark.
I'm already sleeping.
I know. I'm not going to do shit now. So, while we discuss Oppenheimer, you may have to refresh me a little bit. I mean, it's there's 3 hours of it, so even if you just watched it, there's parts you'll probably forget.
Oh, yeah.
But just a little background on Oppenheimer. It is mostly based on a autobiography called American Prometheus. And a lot of the details in it and sort of the format of it is well, Nolan jumbles with the format a little bit, but like at least the areas that we cover are largely in this book. So like the way we focus in some sections about just like the building of the bomb, and later we focus in some sections about like the not literal fallout, but like the political fallout and what's surrounding Oppenheimer post World War II and the Red Scare and all that stuff. That's all in the book. And I mean, it's all the real life of Oppenheimer. But like, I guess what I'm getting at is Christopher Nolan didn't like pick and choose what to highlight as much as he found this book that he decided. These are the parts.
Just make an outline out of.
Yeah, these are the parts that we are going to highlight out of Oppenheimer's life. I guess we can just give a little bit of opening thoughts about what we think about the movie. Kaylin, you've watched it most recently, so I'll let you go first.
I thought it was very well made. There were many things in this that I found quite irritating, especially going back to what we were talking about, just how much they were riding this dude Oppenheimer. I mean, holy shit. And it kind of leads into a larger topic of kind of like why are we supposed to care about this? You know, because he didn't. I mean, it wasn't even really an original idea from him to create this, and it was like the space race almost, where it was just like America was trying to get to this technology first, and then it led to all this different shit. And then you think of Hiroshima, Nagasaki, all this terrible stuff where it cost the lives of millions of people. And you're like, okay, why are we glorifying this guy for creating a giant death machine? You know, that's just how I saw it. Maybe I'm looking too far into it, but that kind of stuff just irritates me. I'm tired of seeing these movies where it's just like we're just dick riding the shit out of this one guy who inevitably fucks up everybody. So
yeah, I can see some of that. I do think that the portrayal of Oppenheimer in this isn't entirely favorable. Like, I think it shows some of his flawed qualities. Like a lot of the trouble he gets into is because of like ego, and
sure,
like he seems blinded by ambition, and that's like what kind of leads to the bomb. And then he doesn't come to the realization till after of like, once I've made this, it's out of my control, but it still feels like it's, you know, it's my baby, it's on my hands.
Right. Well, then it's like you think about like the military industrial complex where it's like Lockheed Martin and all this kind of stuff where these guys are just like, they want war so bad, and because it fills their pockets, and it's just all these like gray areas that you see in this, and it's just, I don't know, it doesn't really sit right with me. I thought like, I don't know, when the trailer for this came out, like 2 years ago, I was like, this seems pretty interesting, and I'll probably watch the shit out of that. And then watching it, I was like, I don't know why I was interested in watching this. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'm a little more positive than you about it. It's definitely not a movie I'm going to watch again. Like, I just couldn't. It's
hell no.
I think it's a pretty good film in general. It is. I get what you're saying, where it kind of feels like, okay, but what do we have to say?
Yeah, because it just feels like American propaganda, you know. And yeah, it's just, it makes me feel icky.
Yeah, and it's a well-crafted movie, but it is a lot of men in rooms talking about high-minded things. Yeah, which a lot of like, I think there's some like Nolan bros out there. Yeah, that were like, Tenet was badass. Not Tenet. Well, they might have thought Tenet was badass, but Inception was badass. Batman movies were badass. The Prestige was badass. Even Interstellar in its own ways had moments that were badass.
Yeah,
not a lot of badass inside of Oppenheimer. No, it is a very like, this does seem like a movie that will get awards, especially because Nolan hasn't really been an Academy Award type of person. It seems like these biopics of, you know, political figures or historical figures are always just like the type of stuff the Academy loves and the type of stuff reviewers love. And like, I would give this a generally positive review, but it's not a for me, it's like a lot of people just won't want to watch this.
Yeah.
And I didn't walk away with it like, whoa, I think I learned some history.
Sure.
But I didn't walk away with like, I have a profound outlook on like the man of Oppenheimer. Yeah. He still kind of remains a mystery box, which is the weird thing of like, I think it's some of like Nolan's writing style. Mm-hmm. And I think some of it is purposeful, or that maybe he doesn't even himself quite understand his like Oppenheimer, the man doesn't fully understand his like motives and ambitions through this whole way.
Yeah.
But you kind of walk away being like with a little bit of a shrug, and the very like last line in the last scene made me want to go, man, fuck you. Was like such cheesy Nolan BS, which I'll talk about a little later. But
yeah,
the whole like ending with Einstein was like, oh come on, that wraparound stuff.
I mean well, you start off the movie with spoilers, but Oppenheimer injecting an apple with cyanide, trying to kill his professor.
Because he was just like a dick to him?
Yeah. And you're like, off the bat, you're like, okay, this guy is unhinged. That's the first thing you go to, you know? And so the rest of the movie, he's kind of an asshole. And he's kind of, and not an egomaniac, but he's very egotistical. And he's not a good father. And so it's just like, why are we rooting for this guy? You know, yeah, he's smart. Congratulations. A lot of people are smart, you know? And you're good at math, and you created a fucking death bomb.
And he has this ego in his like math field, and he knows all the top people and all that. But when we go and like there's the moment where he meets the president, and the president kind of just like laughs in his face, and he's like, yeah, I pressed the button to launch the bomb. You didn't fucking do anything. Like, you actually don't run things. Thanks for the bomb, bud.
Exactly. That goes back to just the military industrial complex, where that's what they do, you know?
So like I those are the moments that I like, where it's like this man's flawed and he's egoed, and he's still like little boy in the big boy world. Like,
yeah.
He all his ego is in this bubble.
Right.
And the academics don't run shit. It's the military, it's the government, you know. So,
and that's not to take away from the performances, though, which I think were pretty stellar in this. So, yeah, we can lead into the performance test.
It was the performance of a lifetime!
Performance test is where we talk about our favorite actors, characters, and scenes. And wait, hold on. Can we rewind?
Yep.
I actually have a Letterboxd review that will actually segue great into the performance test. So let's do our Letterboxd reviews.
And now for something completely different.
3.5 stars. Sadly, not as good as Roderick Rules. That's the sequel to Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Does Roderick also create a bomb in that?
No, but his whole like person is sort of a bomb.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, fair enough.
5 stars. Phenomenal work. I don't think Christopher Nolan knows what sex is. The sex scene in this is
it's so awkward. Holy shit.
So bizarre.
And the lady he's having sex with has like the charisma of a bag of rice.
Oh, Florence Pugh?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's everyone.
Yeah.
Again,
Nolan characters.
Going back to Inception, and we'll talk about it, I'm sure, when we review Tenet, if we ever actually do that at the end of this month.
We will.
The characters, like they're stodgy films. They're iron suits, and they're people, like, it's just so stuffy.
Yeah.
It feels important, and a lot of I think has to do with the soundtrack, which we'll do later, and it's about important subject matter to some extent, but
Sure.
the like, you don't have the performances are not like, well, look at this guy.
Yeah.
It's not the Joker. It's not every Nick Cage role.
Right.
You know. Oppenheimer, I hardly know her.
That's a good one.
Okay, 2 more. Name one actor who wasn't in this movie.
Shia LaBeouf.
And its cousin, Shia LaBeouf, the only white guy locked out of the casting session.
Well, I was going to say, like, so Nolan just casted all these, like, boy crushes in this.
I swear
Like,
to
literally.
I suppose we can start out with his number 1 boy crush, Cillian Murphy.
Yeah.
He is Oppenheimer. I'd say, like, I hope he gets nominated, and I would even say it might be deserving. Like, I haven't seen a lot of the new, like, movies that are going to probably go up for Academy Awards,
right.
But, like, he does. I mean, a lot of this movie has him looking either haunted and morose,
Yeah.
or he's determined and driven, and he's good at all that. And he does, like, I don't know, I just feel like he embodied a man very well.
Yeah,
You
he's
know?
great at emoting, and just as an actor, I mean, Cillian Murphy, he's pretty great in every role he's in. And it's like, I think it's deserving for him to get an award. Kind of like how, say what you want about Leo DiCaprio, but it's been a long time coming since he got one. He got one for Revenant, which was strange because I don't think, I mean, like, that performance was good, but it was like...
It's because he ate like a raw liver.
Yeah, but I'm like, he was better in Django, but they didn't want to give him an Oscar for playing a racist character. So
Remember when you rubbed blood all over that one woman? Here's your Oscar.
But yeah, Cillian Murphy is great.
Smokes a lot.
Yes.
Wears a hat a lot. Condescends to Robert Downey Jr. a lot.
A lot.
It's kind of the driving factor of the entire third act is Robert Downey Jr.'s character being petty about like perceived slights from Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
And that's where maybe we can get the other standout performance is Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting the name of his character, but he is, well, I guess his name is Louis Strauss. He's like a senator, or he's going to join a security hearing. That's like what some of the wraparound plot. There's like a flash forward that's in black and white. Is about. There's that hearing, and at the same time, Cillian Murphy is having a hearing to renew his security clearance so he can continue working on nuclear projects.
Yep.
And those kind of play out in between scenes where we're doing the build the bomb plot from the past. Robert Downey Jr. is really great in it. It's just great to see him not being Iron Man and like
and showing his acting chops. Like, he's a really great actor.
And his whole thing near the end, we find out, is he's just petty because Oppenheimer earlier in time and in the movie is just kind of an asshole. He's like at his peak ego during that time, walking around like I'm the smartest guy in the room, and RDJ just never liked him.
Yeah.
And he's finally going to try to use his political power and influence to, get him back for those slights from years past.
Right.
Boys being petty. Boy crushes being petty.
It's like rich boys being petty. That's how you get back at somebody. Taking them to court.
We have Alden Ehrenreich. Han Solo 2.0. He's his aide. Let's just name all the boys.
We got Matt Damon. He came off as the most campy character in this movie.
Matt Damon was the only guy that breathed any life into this movie. He was like, because he's like the gung-ho military man, he like actually had some energy. He
reminded me of Brad Pitt's character from Inglourious Bastards. Just the way he was acting. Just very over-the-top military man. We got Huey from The Boys in this. I always forget his actual name. I'm going to forget a lot of these guys' actual names.
Jack Quaid.
Jack Quaid, yep. We also have the guy from Sky High. I don't know if you remember that. He was a teen actor, and that goes back to what I was saying was like Chris Nolan was just hiring a bunch of his boy crushes from back in the day.
We have Kenneth Branagh as Niels Bohr. He's going to be the villain in Tenet when we watch Tenet. Kenneth Branagh's also a director. He's the guy that does like The Haunting in Venice, The Death on the Nile, The Murder on the Orient Express. He directs. I think Kenneth Branagh directed the first Thor, if I'm not wrong.
I forgot about that one.
True fact.
Casey Affleck. Whoa, let me try that again. Casey Affleck as Alsos Mission. Pretty badass name.
He's the like asshole military police officer he's a
military intelligence officer.
Yeah, he's kind of like, if you've seen the show Recess, he's the guy that notes to snitch.
Yeah, literally.
Him and Rami Malek are like both that guy.
Yep.
Rami Malek is in this movie and he has no lines at first, and you're like, there's no way that guy's not coming back. That's Freddie Mercury.
Go ahead.
Well, what did you?
I was going to say we also have a reoccurring actor from one of the movies that we reviewed recently, Good Time.
Benny
Safdie. He's got a strange face. That's just like how I know this guy. He's just got a weird face. He does not look real.
And he was doing like a weird Eastern Russian accent.
Yeah.
And he plays a scientist that's creates the hydrogen bomb.
Yep.
And that's kind of his whole deal. He goes, hydrogen bomb better.
I liked his character though. He
had a
was
clear
fun.
point of view.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Yeah. He was like,
Everybody
"Hey,
else is conflicted. He's like, bigger bomb, go boom.
if this doesn't work, I go to the Russians.
Josh Hartnett has resurrected his career to show up in here. We didn't get a Michael Caine sighting,
Michael Caine.
unfortunately. Dane DeHaan.
From
He is in Chronicle.
Chronicle.
He's also in The
yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man 2. He was the new
He was
Goblin.
Harry Osborn, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
He's in here. Yeah, Benny Safdie.
Do we give a shout out to the son from Hereditary?
He's in here. A lot of boys show up for a few lines.
Literally.
David Krumholtz is actually a pretty big character. He's the guy from Numbers, and he's the guy that's the elf in Santa Claus. He looks really different, and I think that's just he got older, and I haven't seen him from like the show that I watched with my family in the 2000s. But he's actually a really important character. He's kind of Oppenheimer's closest friend. I like him in this big role. I like him as a person, so give him an award. Yeah, I mean, there's more boys. We could name all the
Gary
boys.
Oldman as Harry S. Truman.
Oh yeah, he's the guy that says "fuck off." I press the button.
That's pretty badass, honestly.
Gary Oldman both played Harry Truman, and Winston Churchill.
Oh my
He
god.
needs to play Stalin and like complete the trifecta.
Play
Hitler.
Hitler. Yeah, I was literally going to say that.
I wouldn't be shocked if Gary Oldman had played.
He
Hitler.
would probably play a
He
great
is kind
Hitler.
of a Hitlery face.
Yeah.
and I would say that with love, but just put the Hitler mustache on him.
Yeah, just shave parts of his mustache off. It's
Yeah.
uncanny.
And I don't want to forget our couple lady characters because Christopher Nolan fucking wants to. We have Emily Blunt as Kitty Oppenheimer, who is background in this whole movie. She's an alcoholic. She's a bad mom. And then Nolan's like, let's give her a scene.
Did you know she's married to John Krasinski?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
That's why they're both in A Quiet Place together.
Okay. Never knew that.
I think John Krasinski directs
He
A Quiet
does.
Place.
He does.
Yeah.
He also is in all the Tom Clancy movies.
He's total fed.
Jim gets it done, man.
John Krasinski's an op.
For sure. He doesn't come off as patriotic, though.
No. He's got a patriotic face, though.
Yeah.
Emily Blunt, though, I do like in that role. She literally got paid to sit in those flashbacks before she actually talks. She's just literally sitting there. She's in the movie for like 20 minutes just sitting there.
It pays to be an actor and to be friends.
Emily Blunt, I do like. She's also in not Day After Tomorrow. Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah, you know what? And I'm going to talk about this later because I just watched that the other day. So we'll talk about that because we were talking about Tom Cruise earlier.
And Florence Pugh, who you didn't like. I don't remember. She didn't really move the needle for me.
Nah. I also think it was just really shoddy writing. So
Yeah.
that didn't really help.
Again, Christopher Nolan, as we've established, doesn't know what sex is, and I don't know if he's felt love and romance either.
It's very like, what's the word? Fuck. When it's like a mutual thing, but it's for like the
You know the dynamic of De Niro and what's her name in Casino? It's like that, but nobody ever says it out loud.
yeah, but they had more. I mean, they had chemistry though.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like I can't.
It's like
I can't
that,
talk.
but by librarians.
They argue in writing.
By career academics.
Yeah, stacked cast, very stacked. Everybody is great. I really don't have any issues with performances.
The scenes when I did my mini review of Oppenheimer that I do really like, just for like we'll talk about it in It's an Art Bro. Let's move along to It's an Art Bro. It's where we discuss the filmmaking process, sets, effects, lighting, soundtrack.
What's this?
It's an art project.
Okay, I like it. Picasso. Yeah, that way.
I like the scenes. There's a couple times, like right after the bomb comes out, when Oppenheimer walks into he has that vision where he walks into the people and they're all going, Oppie, Oppie, and then like the background starts shaking. That does that a couple times. I liked like them actually like doing something kind of crazy to like get us inside the mind of Oppenheimer. Like you can tell he's dissociating and like troubled, but I loved like the way that they showed it.
Yeah.
I thought it was effective and cool, and not something I think I'd really seen before.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of great shots. I mean, obviously the nuke scene was pretty impressive. Apparently, it's mostly practical. I think like Chris Nolan's whole thing, like his marketing for this was like, I don't use any CGI in this movie. I drop a real fucking bomb. Like,
I blew up another Japanese town.
oh no.
No, we don't actually see those explosions.
No.
Which is a choice. Maybe I'll talk about it and let the hate flow through you.
Yeah, I thought, that's an odd choice. And I think a lot of people were probably disappointed about that. I like, nukes are scary, but I like the looks of them. And I think they're very grandiose and like interesting. So
Yeah.
It would have been cool to see something like that, but no.
We do see the one explosion. I do like the build-up. I like Benny Safdie all slathered up in like suntan lotion or something.
Yeah. Dude, this is going on a tangent a little bit. I watched this like mini doc on Vice, and it's about they're called Atomic Soldiers, and it's this true life story about how they used to do these tests in the Pacific. I think it was the British government or something, but they used to do tests and have these soldiers on aircraft carriers, and they used to test these bombs in the ocean while these guys were on these aircraft carriers. And they were it's all these like veterans were telling this story about how they would like be all lined up and to go out, or be told to go out on this aircraft carrier, be lined up, be told to shield their eyes, and without knowing what the fuck is going on. And then suddenly a fucking nuke goes off in front of them, and none of these people have ever seen this before in their life. They don't even know what nukes are at this time. And they said that when they were like putting their hands over their eyes, they could see the x-rays through their hands, like through their closed eyes and stuff. And a lot of these guys died from cancer. Just fucking crazy. And then also when they had children, their children came out deformed and had like different cancers in their bodies as well. A lot of these dudes died from radiation poisoning. It's fucked up. Crazy shit. Anyways. Nukes. They're bad.
Radioactivity, bad.
Yeah.
Danger.
No, I just thought that shit was interesting because it's
yeah.
That's such a fucked up thing to do to people.
No, 100%. I was trying to like do my where am I going next? And I couldn't land the hook anywhere. But good points all around. Yeah, it's well shot. It is very classy. I imagine. I haven't looked it up. I imagine it's the same guy that Nolan usually works with. Hold on, I will confirm. Oh no, this Hoyt van Hoytema.
Oh my god, that's a mouthful.
That's a hell of a name. He did Tenet, Interstellar, Nope.
Oh wow,
Dunkirk. Okay. So.
Oh wow, great.
Great cinematographer, yeah. Classy. It looks classy as hell. If nothing else, it's a classy film.
It is a classy film. Actually, music is by Ludwig Göransson. And not Hans Zimmer, which is interesting.
He's doing a bit of a Hans Zimmer impression. Ludwig Göransson, I know from doing the music on my favorite TV show, Community.
Oh, wow.
All the Community people glowed up to big things.
They did.
Except for Chevy Chase.
I mean, he's Chevy Chase. He's a household name at this point. He probably does a lot of cocaine. He was on the downslide.
I guess maybe except for the guy that plays the main guy.
Isn't he a racist?
Jeff Winger.
He looks like a racist.
It's that. It's how sharp his chin is.
He was also super racist in the Community. But I actually watched the paintball episode not too long ago. That's still a classic. And the Dungeons and Dragons one too.
There's some sequence in Community where Troy and Jeff are going back and forth, where he's trying to convince Troy to join the football team. He's like, you can do it. It's in your blood. He's like, that's racist. He's like, it's in your soul. He's like, that's racist. It's in your eyes. He's like, that's gay. He's like, and yeah, funny show. Classy movie. The soundtrack is like intense. I'd say there's good times for the soundtrack and other times where I'm like, we could have chilled on the soundtrack.
Yeah.
But boy, does Nolan love epic music. Epicmusic.mp3 download, please.
We definitely had some Hans Zimmer on my MP3 back in the day.
It's like an AI created Hans Zimmer soundtrack. Make soundtrack Hans Zimmer historical drama.
Good. Use your aggressive feelings, boy. Let the hate flow through you.
So kind of going back to what you were saying about the music, sometimes, and I've noticed this a lot in the Nolan films, and I think I mentioned this before, but the music is oftentimes louder than the dialogue. And so it's really hard to kind of follow during conversations. And especially with such a dialogue-rich film, you can kind of get lost in the sauce a little bit, especially with just the music blaring in the background.
Yeah, sometimes... So music can set the tone, and music is very important in a movie, but sometimes I feel like a lighter touch was needed, especially in the beginning. It's kind of like a movie that the music feels like it's insisting that it's important.
Yeah.
It's like, this is so important. Don't you hear this soundtrack? It's soaring. There's all these strings, like, immediately, you know? Like, we should maybe, like, build up to that or get hints of it during, like, the end of a scene where something important is being said. But it's just kind of, like, montaging through this, like, recruitment process of all these scientists, and it's all this soundtrack and these, you know, dudes talking in rooms, big soundtrack.
Yeah.
Dudes driving into the new town, big soundtrack. It's just always the big soundtrack until... Well, this is a good thing, but very pointedly, a couple times the soundtrack drops out, and that's, I guess, like, those points are memorable, but I don't know. Yeah, the soundtrack is just a little bit like I was tired of it, and it's 3 hours.
And sometimes I think silence goes a long way as well, especially when I think of Tarantino, like when he has these giant scenes of just pure dialogue, and there's no music attached to it. Unless it's like a kind of an intense confrontation between two characters, then he has some like build up as like the conversation goes on until you come to this, like either somebody gets shot to death or whatever the fuck happens. Right. But yeah, I think especially in a movie like this where it's a biopic and it's really going through the history and you want to know what they're talking about, you know? And so maybe silence is the best route to go, but I'm not a filmmaker.
So the final line. So we have this wraparound story where we have Oppenheimer talking to Einstein. Everybody knows Einstein, so this is important. And I feel like the whole Out of Order series of events, like the reason it's told out of order is so we can get to this reveal at the end and put it at the end. Mm-hmm. Which is a classic Nolan thing. Like, Nolan just doesn't want to tell a story straight to you. Yeah. He does it in almost everything that's not a Batman movie. Back and
forth shit.
So, I mean, it's a choice, and I think in some parts it does aid it. But when we wrap around to this end line, and there's the big soundtrack, and Oppenheimer's talking to Einstein, and he says, you know, when we were talking about the bomb before, and we thought we might set a chain reaction that will end the world.
Alvin, when I came to you with those calculations, we thought we might start a chain reaction that would destroy the entire world.
I remember it well. What happened?
I believe we did.
And it's like, duh, like, I don't, like, and the soundtrack's just like, duh, like, I am become death, destroyer of worlds. Like, we get it. We know. We've watched this movie for 3 fucking hours. We don't need to put this button on it with this line. Like, it's not, like, I needed more from that, or just don't do it at all. Yeah. I was just like, oh my God, Nolan, you're bullshit.
Yeah.
He loves, like, I mean, he gave his whole playbook in the movie The Prestige. There's the 3 elements to a magic trick: the turn, the trick, and the prestige. And the prestige is always the big reveal at the end. Mm-hmm. In Interstellar, it's love. It crosses space and time. Yeah. In Inception, it's does the top still spin? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
In Tenet, it's what? And in Oppenheimer, they do this, and I was like waiting for the button. It was kind of like watching a Shyamalan movie and waiting for the twist at the end.
Yeah.
And it was just like, that's it? We did 3 hours for that?
Yeah.
You know? And that also ties into my other criticism, which just feels like this could have been tightened up a bit.
Sure.
I feel like this could easily have been 2.5.
Yeah.
2:15.
Well, I thought the most interesting stuff in this movie was like the making of like Los Alamos and like assembling the team and stuff. And I feel like we should have spent more time with those characters, especially them just kind of going over like explaining nuclear fission, and like that stuff is interesting. I mean, the physics that goes into this stuff, I'm not even going to pretend like I understand everything, because I don't. But like how they explain matter and how like everything is made up by all these atoms, and if you do this in a certain way, if you can like contain atoms in a certain way, you can create a huge combustion. Like that stuff is incredibly interesting, and I wish like we would have spent more time talking about the physics of it, and kind of just like these people kind of shooting these ideas off to each other, and people kind of being conflicted about it, that kind of stuff. But
that I think is the stuff that leans on Nolan's strengths, which is like dudes in suits doing important things competently. Like that's his whole thing. And those scenes, I think, sing a little better because those are like, that's what he's good at, whether he realizes that's his wheelhouse or not. It's that or flipping a truck.
Yeah.
Everything else, I don't know, man. You know? So, and I'm kind of shocked at how universal the praise is for this movie, because it just feels like it's, I mean, I don't want to assume, but it just feels like a movie that people, because it is of a historical thing and it's made by this great filmmaker, you know, this filmmaker with a big biography, it's supposed to be important and it needs to be good, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is a pretty good movie, but it's also like too long, and some of that shit I'm like, why is like the weird sex scene, the Einstein thing at the end, I'm like,
all the Einstein scenes seem like an MCU like cameo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just the way they presented it, like we're supposed to go nuts because it's fucking Albert Einstein.
Like there was like an applause break when you see Einstein on the screen.
Yeah, what the fuck? Yeah.
We didn't know Einstein would be in this movie.
Oh my god. It's fucking hilarious.
How did they hide this from us?
Einstein has the Infinity Stones.
Kevin Feige's done it again.
Kathleen Kennedy. Thank you.
It's the atomic bomb extended universe.
The Oppenheimer universe. Holy shit.
I'm waiting for the spinoff with Benny Safdie's character. He says, "Big bomb go boom."
And it's him going to the Russians and they create the Tsar Bomba.
They were like, yes. Yeah. Yeah. So, do we have any more hate to flow through you? Also, women characters.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan. I mean, there's a little bit of an excuse with this is happening in 1942 to 1945 or whatever. Like, historical context kind of shoves women aside.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man.
Well, so his first kind of fling, what's her name?
With Florence Pugh? I don't remember.
Yeah, that lady was such a dick. Like, she was like playing really hard to get. And then she was like, "Oh, I don't want you, but I do want you." It was all this back and forth stuff. I was like, Oppenheimer, why do you like this woman?
Yeah, he seems like the type of guy that wouldn't have time for that.
Yeah, and it's like, if anything, she should be like head over heels for you, and you should be that guy, you know, where it's like, nah, man, I can't be, you know, because you're Oppenheimer. You're the dude with all the brains and stuff. And yeah, that was weird. And then the sex scene was weird. And then that forced line of "I've become death, destroyer of worlds." I almost threw up watching that.
So like, it feels like a joke. It feels like a prank.
And then he's like sitting cross-legged, completely nude, and they're just having a conversation. And it's just not sexy, at all. And it's just very weird. And I felt gross.
There's something clinical about that. I feel like
Christopher
Nolan goes to sleep and he doesn't get undressed. It's like he undoes his tie and undoes one button and then just lays down.
And he puts a hospital gown on before bed.
He doesn't even take off his dress shoes. He's just got like black socks like up his thighs. Just, yes.
He sleeps in a coffin.
I'm going to write a movie. I'm going to give a man a wife. I'm going to take her away somehow.
He's got one of those like body pillows that he lays next to every night with some lipstick on it.
Weird stuff. Shall we move on to our final question? And I think we might. Do you want to just shoot the shit about a few movies after we rate this movie?
Yeah,
okay, so stay tuned. We'll have a little more after that. But first, we'll answer the question. You probably know how we're going to answer it, but we'll ask it anyways. Is this a perfect movie?
You lost a baby brother.
perfect in every way. I had a baby brother. I had a little baby brother. And he was perfect. Perfect in every way.
No. Not on the list.
No. I would say Barbie is better than this.
If I was gonna, if we're choosing from the Barbenheimer,
Yeah, Barbie takes the cake.
Barbie easily.
She takes the dream house.
Now, I know somebody's sitting there, they don't understand about the historical significance. No, I get it.
It's the most fucking important event in the history of the fucking universe, man.
Trust me, I get it.
I get it. Yeah.
But it's like, I don't think Christopher Nolan is necessarily the man for the job.
I don't think it's,
and I also, it's mostly I just think it should be shorter.
I also think like the timing of this movie is not that great.
No.
This is before the shit that happened in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we're balls deep in the Ukraine war right now. It's just not a good time, man. The world is on the brink. I don't want to see stuff about nukes. I'm sorry. I'm scared to go outside.
Sorry, dude.
Yeah, I won't ever watch this again.
Smartest physicist in the world, but doesn't stop smoking cigarettes.
And can't take care of his fucking kid.
He was too important for that.
Oh, yeah. So
his wife
that scene
was too drunk.
Dude, that scene made me like kind of pissed off. When he goes and brings his kid to his friend's house, he's like, okay, here. And the friend's like, oh, Oppenheimer,
Yeah.
I'll take care of your kid for you. You're so smart. And you see the world differently. You see beyond the veil of reality. And, oh, fuck, Oppenheimer.
It's like how the Matrix sequels talk about Neo.
God damn.
That's how they talk about Oppenheimer.
The second coming of Christ. Holy shit.
That part pissed me off, especially because before that, I like the scene where he comes home and the house is a mess and his wife is a mess. And I'm like, this is gross. This man has a gross life at home. Like it gave some like character and context to him, and then he just easy fix. His friends are just willing to raise your like who does that? You just raise your child for you.
I mean, if you're Oppenheimer, I guess you could just have the pick of the litter.
I just feel like at least it should have been more of like a discussion.
Yeah,
and they should have been like mad about it,
right,
or something.
Instead of just stay with us,
And maybe that was reality. I don't know.
Sure.
Maybe in the 50s, maybe in the 40s, you just took other people's babies and it was just fine.
There was a lot of things that were just fine back then.
Me and Kalen, we couldn't have this podcast together in 1940.
We'd have to literally like the Underground Railroad this shit. Like
make a guerrilla radio station.
I'd have to put on my best white guy voice for this.
Cheers, bub. You're doing like the Black Klansman phone calls, but on radio. I can't even say what I was going to say. I was going to go way off the cliff. Anyways, I need to take a 10-second pause longer than that. I got to go pee. We will discuss more movies after this.
And now for something completely different.
Just think of it as more of like a snack.
Oh, shit.
All right, Kaylin. Other movies. I know you messaged me about this. Have you seen The Creator?
Shipley, it's Howell. Answer the phone. Shipley, I know you're there.
Colonel!
Taylor, where's Shipley?
I'm with him right now. He's in pretty bad shape.
All right, listen to me. Did you locate the weapon?
Yeah, it's here. I'm with it.
Describe it.
It's a kid. It's a kid. They make it into some kind of kid. That's
the weapon.
What?
Colonel, look.
I can't reach you. You have to bring it to me. Do you understand?
No, Shipley can't move. I mean, he's not looking good at all.
Police are everywhere. I don't know how I'm getting out right now. I don't even have an extra strategy right now.
Then you know what you have to do. Kill it.
You know, I watched about 20 minutes of it last night.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I watched the whole thing this morning.
Oh, you did?
Because I woke up early. I think it's pretty good, but it's not like... There's also a bunch of movies that you're going to watch and be like, it's like that one. And it's like that one. But I think the most impressive thing about it is it was only $80 million, and holy crap, does it look good?
The visuals are great.
The visuals are really effective. It's Gareth Edwards, who's done Rogue One. He did the Godzilla from like 2014.
Mm-hmm.
He did
also like really great CGI in those films as well.
Yeah. It seems like his skill is like staging like big action and also just like portraying like grand vistas
scale. Yeah,
scale.
The coolest effect is that giant ship, the blue beam that comes down before it fucking nukes shit.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
The Nomad, and it's also got very like, I think in Rogue One there's the Star Destroyer that hovers over that town.
Yeah,
same
kind of thing,
same vibe.
And then in the Godzilla films, Godzilla is just massive, and you can really feel that scale too.
It's not super original, and the like, it's another movie that's like, give man wife, give man baby, he has motivation now.
Yeah,
do you feel emotion? And it leans a little bit on that, but a little bit of some of it is like tried and true, like The Mandalorian or like a million other movies where a strong man finds a little baby, and has to protect it.
I thought the acting was kind of, especially with like the grunt soldiers, they felt like aliens. You know, it was weird.
They're pretty intense. It's actually a pretty like anti-American movie, which I kind of like.
Yeah,
the Americans are definitely the bad guys.
Yeah.
In this movie. Gives you a little Vietnam vibes, because it's all it was filmed in Thailand, but it's all in this place called New Asia in this like near future. It's like pretty good. I would say you like sci-fi, so check it out. If you like sci-fi, check it out. It's not gonna like blow your socks off. It gave me a little bit of like District 9 meets
Elysium
and sprinkle in just modern Vietnam War.
Yeah.
In there.
That's a great analogy for it.
So it's pretty good. The ending is very Elysium. They go up on the Nomad, and that is just like when they go up to like
when Matt Damon goes up to the
ring.
rich colony or whatever. Yeah. Dude, the first scene of that movie, before you see the main character's face and you hear his voice, I was like, holy shit, Denzel Washington? Like, he sounds just like Denzel. I mean, obviously it's Denzel Washington's son. What's his name?
John David Washington. He sounds sometimes uncannily just like him. It's kind of crazy. There's a couple lines in Tenet where he's really giving Denzel vibes. There's a couple lines in this where he's really giving Denzel vibes. But he is not daddy. He cannot carry.
No.
He cannot like turn a B-tier movie like significantly more entertaining just by being in it.
Right. Oh, all right. Okay.
He doesn't have as much swagger or charisma. He's good. Like, he's fine, but he's not daddy.
I was kind of like, man, I wish Denzel was in this.
That's what you'll feel probably watching Tenet. You'd be like, this would have been like awesome with Denzel in it.
We need to do some Denzel movies for sure.
I have a list of things that I just are semi-racing that I would want to talk about, but do you have anything you want to?
So I know earlier we mentioned some Tom Cruise stuff, and then we were also talking about Emily Blunt. I'd recently just watched, like the other day,
Live, Die, Repeat?
Live, Die, Repeat, or Edge of Tomorrow.
I'm going to tell you a story. At first, it's going to sound ridiculous. But the longer I talk,
We have to find the keys.
the more rational it's going to appear.
I can't believe you found coffee.
Sugar, right?
Yeah.
Hold on. 3. You like 3.
How many times have we been here? How many times?
For me, it's been an eternity.
What's with the Live, Die, Repeat shit?
Okay, so Edge of Tomorrow is what it was released theatrically. It didn't do super well theatrically, so for some reason they tried to retitle it for the like home video release. So it was released as Live, Die, Repeat, and I don't know what it's like posted as now when you look it up.
Okay, it was Edge of Tomorrow for me, and I know I rented this off at Amazon. It's a great sci-fi movie. You've seen it, right?
Yeah, I watched that in theaters actually.
Yeah, it's a really great sci-fi movie, and I think what year did that come out? 2014?
Yeah, something like
that. But the CGI is great. The performances are pretty cool.
The squid aliens.
Yeah, those are awesome. Tom Cruise is like, he's pretty great in that movie. Yeah, it's very intense, and the action scenes are crazy. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It's your like Groundhog's Day meets like D-Day War Invasion meets Independence Day.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
With robot kick puncher, like they have like the same stuff as Elysium. They're like little robot arms.
Yeah,
the robot suits, or also very Avatar.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, just the mechs and stuff. Yeah, I mean, the premise for it, I mean, it's every time Tom Cruise dies, he comes back and relives the same day again. During this time where the military is making their final front against this alien invasion. And he just replays this day over and over again until he gets it right, you know. And so that's a great premise. And it was just a lot of fun. Yeah, really underrated sci-fi movie, if I must say.
Super Hot, the movie.
Yeah.
Super Hot.
Super Hot. That's a great game.
Super hot, super hot, super hot.
I watched Thanksgiving last night, the Thanksgiving movie. It's an Eli Roth joint. It's so like, it's like critic proof because it's like so fucking stupid that, but it's in on the joke, but it's not doing the winky winky like aren't we so crazy thing.
Yeah.
It's just putting unhinged people in the movie and then just taking it totally seriously with a little hint of like a Scream-like quality where they're not so much self-aware, but just like, oh, we know we're having a little fun with this.
Yeah.
Like a character gets killed with, you know, the little like corn pokers you hold a corn cob with. Somebody gets stabbed in the ears with those.
Yeah, use your holiday themed stuff for your kills.
John Carver is an excellent name for a slasher.
John Carver.
That's the name of the killer.
That's great, yeah.
I love his little mask and his like Plymouth Man outfit. It's like Scream where it's like we find out who's behind the mask and we get their whole speech at the end and it's hokey and it's just fucking stupid. And it's like, it's just a hell of a lot of fun. And I would say see it in a theater if you like. Although it's not like Saw gross out, but it gets grosser than like a Scream movie or even maybe like the new Halloweens ever got.
Okay. I have not seen that, but would you say it's like a cult classic in the making?
I think so. Like I imagine there's going to be a Thanksgiving 2, and it might be in like every holiday's about got one now. There's My Bloody Valentine. There's Krampus.
Yep. Krampus is great.
We need a 4th of July slasher.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
That'd be a good one.
A patriotic slasher.
Lots of people dying to fireworks.
Oh, you make some really interesting kills with that.
John Carver was one of the first pilgrims and the founder of Plymouth, Massachusetts. Soon after settling, 50 of his fellow pilgrims died mysteriously, with the deaths only ceasing after Carver's passing. Locals left his remains to rot in the town center, but legend has it his spirit still stalks Plymouth to this day.
Thanksgiving is an institution here.
It's the John Carver mask.
Everybody's gonna be wearing them.
Someone went off the deep end.
And they're turning it into a sick holiday game.
You're not going to believe what he's wearing.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. Might have to check that out. This is not a movie, but I started watching the Godzilla series yesterday, the new Godzilla series on Apple TV.
Mm-hmm.
It's so weird because it actually works very well. It stars
Kurt Russell,
Kurt
Wyatt.
Russell's son, a handful of other people. It's very well made, and the CGI is incredible for a TV show. So if you're interested in Godzilla, it's also a part of this MonsterVerse
that has the other Godzilla movies.
Yeah,
King Kong,
it's
Godzilla
the same thing,
versus...
but the tone is way like totally different. Where the movies kind of go the MCU route, and it's kind of campy. And I liked Kong versus Godzilla for what it was. I thought it was fun. But this is a totally different take. It's a lot more serious. Actually, in the first episode, spoiler alert, a bus full of kids die. Like a bus full of kids falls off a bridge during the Godzilla attack on San Francisco from the first movie. So I was like,
love to see.
Right away, I was like right on board with this.
Checkbox, child murder.
It's not funny, but yeah, I was like, whoa, they went there in a Godzilla movie, and it was kind of like Collateral Damage stuff, where they're dealing with the ramifications of a giant monster terrorizing your city.
Well, it's funny because one of my problems with Godzilla versus King Kong is at the end, it's like 14 9/11s happen, and and all we see is like one soundstage where Millie Bobby Brown gets reunited with her dad somehow. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure like 10 million people just died.
Meanwhile, all these other little girls lost their father.
I know. Pretty sure like 10 million Japanese people just died, but it's fine.
Millie Bobby Vanilli got her daddy back.
It's wild. He's everybody. He's always a dad in a sci-fi movie. That guy is also the dad in Super 8.
Yes. Yeah. He makes a good dad character.
Dads and kids with monsters. You need is your kid interacting with a giant monster? Call this guy.
You're not a good father until your kid interacts with a monster. Just saying. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, it just came out. I think the first 3 episodes are out on Apple TV Plus, so check it out. Apple TV is fairly cheap, so yeah.
Yeah, Apple TV is weird because it's like $6 a month, and they don't have a big library, but a lot of stuff on there is good.
It's a lot of quality products on
If you like series, there's not a lot of movies on there. There's a couple Apple TV. The Tetris movie is okay. That's an Apple TV original, but they don't have like a big, I'm a movie guy, so I'm not going to watch the series.
Monarch was there in San Francisco. When the whole city was coming down, these guys were taking pictures, like they'd been waiting for it.
You think that your father was working for them?
This stuff was in a safe.
Who are they? What's Monarch?
Kaylin, we watched The Killer.
Yeah.
That's the new David Fincher movie. It's on Netflix.
Starring Michael Fassbender.
Yeah. This movie's gotten a lot of rave reviews. I thought it was pretty good.
I thought it was good. Yeah.
I was like a little cold on some of the middle of the movie, but also it's a cold character.
Yeah.
He's a detail-oriented man, or is he? Because he seems to mask his emotional decisions as like, this is the project, this is the mission. But it's a hitman whose hit goes wrong, somebody close to him, and he executes a revenge quest. But the whole time he's like, this is the mission. This is what I do.
He's also a man at the end of his rope, and he's kind of like, you can tell he's tired, and he's not as good as he used to be. He's like botching every freaking mission he's going on in this. It also turned into a revenge movie, which I wasn't really a big fan of. I thought it would have been better just to see him going on these daily jobs that he's assigned to.
I really like the beginning, as we see what happens before that first one goes wrong. That's all really fun. Him just staking out his hit is a lot of good stuff.
I loved how cold he was, especially just like how emotionless he was when he was interacting with other characters. I thought the fight scene in that house where he fights that dude was holy shit.
It just turned into John Wick, and it didn't have any of that before.
But you felt the weight from everything going on in that scene. Like, the dude was fucking him up.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. That was a lot of fun. Another great actress,
Tilda
Swinton shows up in this. She's awesome in everything she's in. She's a great fucking actor.
I love the first mission. I do like that middle fight scene, but I was mostly like first mission, then I kind of dipped in interest, and then Tilda Swinton shows up, and then like the rest of that, I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah, I kind of, so going back to cult classics, I feel like that it has the makings of like a cult classic down the road where people would be like, oh, that's a good movie.
I mean, this is from the man that gave us Fight Club.
Yeah.
And Seven. So like, that style's all there. People are going to be a fan of it.
Also, movies that weren't really appreciated until after they came out.
It's funny. It's a pretty clean movie, but he has to fit in like a dingy bathroom, and at some point he's cleaning himself up in like the grossest bathroom you've ever seen. I'm like, David Fincher, you can't help yourself. Like, you need someone to spray graffiti on the walls at some point.
I find music a useful distraction. A focus tool. Keeps the inner voice from wandering. This is what it takes. My process is purely logistical. If I'm effective, it's because of one simple fact. I don't give a
Speaking of Fight Club, and I also watched another classic movie. I watched American History X, starring Edward Norton. A great movie. It's a movie about racism.
Yeah, he's a skinhead, isn't he?
He's a freaking Nazi punk in that, and he's awful, but there's a lot of great subject matter and commentary, and it was a good movie, very well made. That movie is very old, But I watched that yesterday, so.
Kaylin, I know you've disregarded Marvel, but I think you should check out, before we do our end of year lists.
The Marvels?
No. Guardians of the Galaxy 3. It's really good, man.
I've heard. I don't know if I can do it, man.
That's what I thought, I think, when I turned it on the first time. And it won me over. I love the Suicide Squad, the remake, James Gunn. It's got a lot of that going on there. I think it just, it's got some really great needle drops. And it's a movie that respects its characters and it realizes what it's about. And it doesn't get bogged down. And there's like 5 minutes that feels like this is a BS like Marvel action scene. And then other than that, it decides very smartly when to do the action and when to just hang out with our pals.
And there's no world-ending villain.
No. It's a very personal rescue Rocket the Raccoon mission.
Okay.
And it's a love letter to Rocket, basically. Because I guess James Gunn, I've seen on a meme, you've probably seen it too, that there's only 6 issues, like 6 comic issues that Rocket the Raccoon showed up in all of like the printed history.
Okay.
Before Guardians of the Galaxy, the movie came out. But James Gunn loved Rocket the Raccoon, and he'd seen those 6 issues. And then he turns the third Guardians of the Galaxy movie basically to like a
Rocket tribute.
Yeah, a Rocket ode. And weirdly, he gets sidelined for a lot of that because it gives him backstory via him being like very early. He gets attacked, and he's basically he's nearly dead hospitalized, and they need to do something to rescue him.
I miss you so much. And maybe if you open yourself up to it, there's a possibility.
I don't think so, Quinn.
Quill.
I don't think so.
Well, what I'm trying to say is...
Peter, you know this is an open line, right?
What?
We're listening to everything you're saying.
And it is painful. And you're just telling me now?
We were hoping it would stop on its own.
But I switched it over to private.
What color button did you push?
Blue! For the blue suit! Oh, no.
Blue is the open line for everyone.
Orange is for blue.
What?
Black is for orange. Yellow is for green. Green is for red. And red is for yellow.
No, yellow is for yellow. Green is for red, red is for green.
I don't think so.
Try it then.
Hello! You were right.
But it's just funny, and it's stupid, but it doesn't do the thing which the Peacemaker show did, and James Gunn is often guilty of, where they interrupt the emotional moment with a joke.
Yeah.
The most emotional moment of Peacemaker, the one that I was like, you need to let this breathe. It breathes a little bit and then joke.
Yeah.
And I was so mad at that because I was like, this show has been balancing it very well up until then, and like you don't know that this is the moment that we need to just sit in it.
Yeah. That kind of reminds me of Guardians of the Galaxy 2. There's a scene at the end with the Merle from The Walking Dead, and he's coming down with this like
Yondu.
Yondu. He's flying down with this thing, and
he's like, I'm fucking Mary Poppins.
Yeah, he's like, hey, you look like Mary Poppins. He's like, is she cool? He's like, hell yeah, she's cool. And then they have this like great like. It was almost reminiscent to the Avengers like assembling scene where all these characters together in one great shot and the music is swelling, and then boom, something funny happens. I'm like, come on, man, you got to let this shit ride out a little bit.
No, I think the parts that are emotional in this movie and like are
stick.
caring in this movie, they let it breathe and they pick and choose where to do the humor, and I think it's for the most part tasteful and funny, and it doesn't lean into some of his worst instincts where he's constantly interrupting himself. And I watched it for a second time, and I was like, yeah, no, this is actually, like, I like it a lot. I think it's maybe the best of the 3.
Okay. And that's a relatively recent Marvel film. And Marvel right now is in total damage control
It's the 2023 one. We forgot about this one because it's been sandwiched by all the
terrible
all the failures.
Stuff.
Like
The Marvels just came out last week, and I think it's one of the worst reviewed Marvel movies of all time. They're in like damage control mode right now, where they're talking about bringing back the original cast, and I just roll my eyes, man. I'm like, you guys need to stop. Like going back to what we were saying during our review of Avengers Endgame, you need to let this shit just breathe, and I think they're going to do that. What I heard is that they're only going to drop the only Marvel movie that's coming out next year, I think, is Blade. And
Blade feels like it could be its own thing.
Yeah.
It'd be weird to put Blade in the current Marvel format.
Right. And you have a big actor attached to it, Mahershala Ali. And yeah, so that could be pretty awesome. I think it's directed by people who worked on the John Wick films. So that could be pretty cool if they do the choreography great and they have good action. Yeah, Marvel is in a downward spiral, but we'll see if they can come back from the dead. Actually, I heard spoiler alert for the Marvels, I heard the end credit scene has Beast from the X-Men, so they're starting that shit again.
I did hear that. I just don't. I'm sure there are some people out there that care, but it's like a homework problem at this point. It's like I don't know. I think especially because Marvel's adding all these TV shows, it feels like homework, and it's like because we've done this shared universe. Most of these IPs, Garden of the Galaxy is maybe an exception. Those kind of stand out from the rest. They have interconnected things in them, but like when I think of Marvel movies, I think of like the timeline. I don't think of like Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3. I don't think of Thor 1, Thor 2, Thor 3, Thor 4.
We think about Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame.
Yeah, and I think of them as these interconnected, and they are. Like Captain America, what is it, 2 or 3? Civil War is basically an Avengers movie, and they're all these interconnected things, and they're interwoven, and you don't think of them as each franchise doing their own thing.
Yeah.
So when you think of like go back and it's like 32 movies, 36, whatever we're up to now, plus like 8 series, 10 series now, it's just like it's like a show that's run on too long. Like eventually people just stop caring.
Yeah.
Like the most successful shows always end, no matter what they are. Like with very few exceptions. Like maybe a few soap operas have ran for like decades and decades, but like that's not a thing that you can just carry endlessly.
Especially when
with no drop off.
Especially when you send off your most important character, which is Iron Man, and he's the face of all of this. If it wasn't for the original Iron Man, none of this shit would be anything.
Also, you sent off most of your...
including Captain America, and you don't see the Hulk was in that terrible She-Hulk show, but what's going on with the Spider-Man stuff? I don't know.
Those are Sony movies now, so they're not wrapped up in the exact same machine.
Did you see the trailer for Madam Web?
No, you sent it to me and I didn't see it, but
my God.
Is it awful?
It looks bad. It has Sweeney, what's her name in it? The girl from that one.
Sydney Sweeney?
Sydney Sweeney. She's in it.
Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber?
The Demon Barber of Flint Street. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I don't care either. I'm done with superhero stuff. If I'm going to watch anything superhero related, it's going to be The Boys Season 4 whenever that drops. So... we'll see. Do you have any other movies you want to talk about? Or?
Last thing, because it could have been Nolan. We did Nolan November, and it could have been Nick Cage November. Talked to you this off mic, but Sympathy for the Devil on AMC Plus, the Nick Cage rides in the back seat and has dyed hair movie. It's like not excellent, but it's so than any of these Nolan movies have been for me, just because Nick Cage gets to act like a freak.
He's doing what we love him.
Crazy no idea. Do not fucking interrupt me! God damn it! I told you that in the car! You're always running off at the mouth! You got a motor mouth! There's a motorboat stuck in your mouth! Just shut up! Sit the fuck back down!
He says in this movie, you have a motor mouth. Shut the fuck up. You have a motorboat inside of your mouth.
I can hear him say that.
It's like not an amazing movie, but it's like a kind of like Collateral, which is a movie where Jamie Foxx and Tom Cruise drive around LA all day or all night. This is in Vegas, and Joel Kinnaman and Nick Cage drive around Vegas, kind of. It doesn't make a lot of use of the Vegas because that would have cost a lot of money. But we see the strip as they drive through it. But they end up at this diner, and the stop off in this diner is just like where Nick Cage is like, all right, I'm shooting from 50. I'm turning it up to 11. I'm knocking it out the park. I'm taking big swings. It's crazy, and it's just fun to see. I'm like, and it's not bad. I think there's like, it's one of those movies where when we're finding out the motivations behind everything, where some of the answers are like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
But because it's fun enough along the way and you get enough Nick Cage, or like they get pulled over and the cop talks to him and Nick Cage just keeps being like, well, yeah, we were speeding, but, you know, the flow of traffic. And the police officer's like, yeah, no, you were speeding. He's like, but the flow of traffic, isn't that a real thing? Isn't that a thing? The flow of traffic. I'm just asking you. Like, he just gets to do all his fun shit. So
there's a few Nicolas Cage movies I gotta watch for sure. So that one's on my list. You said, what is it on?
It's on AMC Plus for free.
Plus.
Sympathy for the Devil. It's a new one. It's a 2023 movie, so
cool.
That's why I watched it.
Cool.
All right. We gave you some bonus stuff. We will do Tenet before December, and then I think we're going to do maybe one classic Christmas movie or something we decide feels Christmassy enough to us.
Possibly Krampus. I think we were talking about Krampus for a while.
Krampus, Home Alone. I was just thinking in my head, we don't have to, but we could go back to our roots and do a Star Wars movie. Those always come out in December.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Should we do one of the prequels?
That would be funny.
Do Revenge of the Sith.
I was going to say New Hope.
We could do New Hope. Yeah, maybe we could do New Hope and Revenge of the Sith. Maybe we could do a double feature. We'll figure it out. We'll let you guys know.
We'll figure it out. We're probably going to do one of those, and then towards the end of the year, we'll do an end-of-year list.
Yeah.
Those will be a few episodes.
Wow, that's coming up quick.
Come back in January, yeah.
Cool. Well, until next time, we'll catch you later.
I got the fuzz, I make the elevator do what she does. Hang it up to dry. What's your pleasure, buddy? 44. 44, the top brass floor. Say, buddy, what takes 50 years to get up to the top floor and 30 seconds to get down? Wearing Hudsucker. You get it, buddy? Say, buddy, Mr. Klein, up to 9. Mrs. Dell, personnel, Mr. 11, 37.
36.
Walk down. Ladies and gentlemen, please step to the rear. Here comes a gargantuan Mr. Greer.
Buzz.
Say, buddy, who's the most liquid businessman on the street? Wearing Hudsucker. Say, buddy, when is the sidewalk fully dressed? When it's wearing Hudsucker. You get it, buddy? It's a pun. It's a knee slapper. It's a play on Jesus, Joseph, and Mary. Is that a blue letter? Cripe the mighty, why ain't you tell a guy? Hold on, folks, we're express to the top floor.